Previously on Mort's Miniatures vlog.
Let's take a look at some real fire.
And now the continuation.
Well, we better see what's left of the flat then. Holy shit. Holy shit. This door's strangely intact though. Right, that's enough of that nonsense. The flat didn't really burn down, that was just a shockingly cheap special effect. Hello and welcome to another vlog. Let's take a look at some miniatures I've been working on recently. Okay, what shall we start with? How about Andy's new character? Here he is. Little rotating there. Right. Shall we try zooming in for a close-up, because I'm quite pleased with this one. There we go, nice close-up. This is Andy's brand new character, Caval, who, in case you can't tell, was inspired by the main character from the Witcher franchise. Geralt, I believe he is called, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah, this is a mixture of Mordheim mercenary parts and a few other bits, including a sword I believe came from an Empire Knight sprue, and Empire Foot Soldier leg armour was repurposed to make his rather distinctive shoulder armour. A little pouch there and the hand crossbow on the back are from the Mordheim accessory sprue, I believe. Base was textured using a bit of Mantic's Dungeon Saga base, and I had a little green stuff coin on there because someone has tossed a coin to this Witcher. And the head is a resin piece made by a company called Anvil Industries, who makes some rather nice little bits to sort of customise your miniatures. Great stuff if you want to build some player characters to look in particular ways. You can all these little sprues they do of heads, and they do arms and bodies and stuff as well. I think a lot of it is geared towards doing sort of custom Imperial Guard squads, but of course you can use the parts for other projects as well. Overall, quite pleased with how this came out. Since it's just going to be me, Andy and Trev for a while, Caval here has teamed up with Trevor the Arcane, Trev's new character, and they are taking on the quest for the Shattered Amulet from the Advanced Hero Quest core book. Or at least my version of it. Now, the first dungeon of the quest for the Shattered Amulet, the Warlord's Lair, ends with this puzzle of raised corridors you've got to open up using these rune keys, which insert into bits in the floor. And you open up these corridors one by one, culminating in a room that looked something like this, where the player characters would take the runes they'd got and put them into slots on this magic circle to unveil a chest with the first piece of the Shattered Amulet in it. This is the original cardboard version, but here's my version. As you can see, I decided to switch up the magical rune puzzle for a more mechanical gear puzzle. This is the bit that replaces the magical circle in the final room. This is made from a War Machine base, some gears from Broken Toys, and a few decorative metal gears from the craft shop. And I think a few of these gears came out of a printer or something as well. Yeah, rather pleased with how this came out. Here's a shot with Kvalin for scale. That's the end bit in the last room, and in the corridor sections leading up to it, I had these little gears and receptacles to open each corridor up as they went. They went in the room, fought some rat men monsters, grabbed a gear, put the gear into its receptacle, and, you know, gears turned and the wall slid away, revealing the next section of corridor, and so on and so forth. This was quite nice and easy to paint. It was just sort of dry brushing with various metallics I have, followed by picking a few bits out using various washes, greens and browns mostly, sort of got this oily, slightly decayed look to this. Very nice, very mechanical, and very Skaven-y. Now, the next adventure in the Shattered Amulet campaign calls for, among other things, some Undead Skaven. So, I put together these guys, which I think I showed you unpainted at the end of the last video. These have come out rather nicely. They're just they're made of various Skaven parts and some... that was clumsy. And some zombie arms, and painted up in some nice sort of rotting, decaying zombie type colours. Not much to note in particular about the painting of these. Yeah, a bit of cutting here and there to get all the bits to fit together. Painted the eyes on these ones sort of glowing green, which one, matches with some of my more recent undead stuff I painted, and two, suggests warpstone. Might go in for some close-ups of these to show you a few of the details on them. This one I think is going to be my favourite. I made use of one of the more decayed looking heads from the Skaven Plague Monk sprue. So I've got this guy who looks fairly intact on this side, but rather stripped of flesh and decaying on that side. Yeah, rather pleased with how that came out. This guy's got a similar thing going on here, where I've gouged an eye out on that side. I've used a bare to the bone zombie arm, but on this side, relatively intact. Oh, one thing to know about these, the zombie hands, of course, don't quite have the clawed shape of the original Skaven arms these models would have had I not assembled them as zombies. But to get around that, I just painted the end of the zombie hands, last little bit on the finger there, past the end knuckle, just with a bone colour, and that well enough approximates the clawed ends of the Skaven hands, Skaven fingers. So yeah, that's come out alright. That a little bit of a cheat, but I think rather effective. Yeah, quick rough paint jobs on these guys, but came out quite well. Oh, this guy has one bandaged up foot and one barefoot, and I sculpted those bandages myself using milliput, and they came out alright. They're comparable to the bandaged feet on the original Skaven pieces. Oh yeah, went for green on the cloth on most of these ones. Using a lot of green for my undead recently. It looks quite nice. Talking of green undead things, here are the Chainrasps I also showed you unpainted in the previous video. Yep, finished painting them too. Oh, nothing much special about the paint jobs really. Yeah, came out alright. This one got a head swap using the skeleton head, or skull as they sometimes call it. from the Frostgrave Cultist sprue, I think that came from. I think in the last video I said that was a Mantic skeleton head, but I think now, having looked at it some more, that is from a Frostgrave Cultist skeleton bits. Yeah, yeah, not too bad, these guys. So zoom in a bit. Yeah, quite pleased with how these guys came out. Not quite sure what I'm going to use them for yet. Probably some kind of ghosts or wraiths. We'll see what happens in upcoming games and what I can fit them into. So, what's next? Yes, I've been working on the Skaven Plague Monks for the third adventure in the Shattered Amulet campaign. These have had various bits of conversion work done to each of them. Should we take a closer look at some of them? This guy who is in the centre of the last shot has a very old plastic Skaven head, which is made of very bright white plastic, making it really awkward to get pictures of in this lighting. This spiky boy here, I've given a shield from Advanced Hero Quest Skaven. I'm not sure if Plague Monks should really have shields. I don't know if there's rules against it really. But you know what? I think it looks cool, so I'm going with it. They are allowed light armour apparently, so why not a shield? This guy is my Plague Sensor Bearer. I didn't like the original mounting of the Plague Sensor, the way it came on the sprue. It looked more like a flail really, so I've put it on this staff here. Yeah, looks alright. Oh, this was an old sort of scrap body I got out of my bits box. Tail was damaged, so I replaced it with a Skaven tail from another sprue. This is my Plague Priest with his warp scroll. I've given him a mace rather than a sword or dagger to make him look a bit more cleric-y, in my opinion. Now, the Shattered Amulet, of course, ends with a boss fight with the Demon General Prasnarg, and thanks to Paul, I actually have this model, which was the one Games Workshop originally intended people to use as Prasnarg. But you know what? These days, he really doesn't look that imposing. So instead, I'm going to be using this. Because, well, what better for a Demon General than a avatar of the Great Horned Rat? Yeah, this is a old metal Vermin Lord that I picked up secondhand, had a few pieces missing, so I've replaced the tail and that arm there with plastic Rat Ogre pieces. Couldn't get a pointing hand like the original, so I went for this hand and put a rock from another kit in there to represent a big piece of warp stone. I've mounted him on a resin base that's from some company that I cannot remember what is now. Or rat on there, and sort of repose this arm a little bit. I like the idea of he's sort of holding out this big chunk of warp stone, and a swarm of rats will be following up behind him. Yep, I hope to be painting this guy soon as well. He's been sat around in one of my cases of unpainted miniatures for a while now, and I've finally got an excuse to use him. So this should be fun. And I think you'll agree that is a lot more imposing. And that, man things, is about it for this vlog. If like, subscribe and give much warpstone, yes! I need a goodbye catchphrase.
Take 562.